What's going on, guys? This is Raw Dawg Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. And you know what? That's a great idea. All we have to do is jump over that 100-foot waterfall, swim 20 miles upstream, get the sheriff on the phone. He liked us, I remember. And he'll send a rescue boat. Oh, look, there's beer in the river. How we doing, everybody? Evo, my man, how you doing, brother? I am excited. I am ready for a great day because football is on. It's on TV, my man. I had it on my phone. I'm going to get it back up in a minute because the last time I tried to run the game while we were doing a show, everything crashed. So I need the extra phone. So shout out producer Amber. But my man, how are you doing? Are you ready for some fucking football tonight?
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. I'm stoked that we got football on, even if it is Trey Lance starting for the Chargers, and this is about as minuscule of a game as it can be. It still is the signal flare, that red star cluster for our military folks saying, hey, it is football time. Turn your attention from all this other bullshit in the world. No one gives a fuck about politics. No one gives a fuck about fucking American Eagle ads out there with fucking boobs and shit. It is all about fucking football from here on out till February. So fucking focus up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time.
Just let the great unifier take hold, all right? That's what football is in this country. That's where we can all rally around hating each other for things that we don't hate each other for, like sports. That's what all of this is for. We have a great time with it because you know what? Politics, all of that is a divider. But tonight, the great unifier is back. High school football is getting ready to start as well. Youth football is going on. Oh, yeah, here you go. Sorry, I have my youth player down here right now asking me questions. Man, I'm just very, very excited for all of football season to get going underway. Tonight is going to be super special. We have a great trip planned as well this weekend. I'm getting to do I don't remember the name of the organization. If producer Amber could drop that in the chat for me. We are going to go out as a family and get to do an experience for veterans. There's, a big lake. It's kind of like a camping excursion. Be able to go fish, kayak. They had some jujitsu, disc golf, a whole bunch of different things that are available to veterans. I'm very excited. I think the kids are very pumped. I know G is very much looking forward to going fishing. It's one of his favorite pastimes. I'm really hoping that kid continues to grow because if he could just become the next Joe Thomas, maybe come back right here in Cleveland and stay around, that'd be super dope. But that's going to be awesome. What about you, brother? Any exciting things going on in your life outside of the start of football? Because we're going to get into football. We got a lot of things to talk about. Hall of Famers. We got news, big news breaking just before the show started. We have news from our camps, things that we have seen, guys that we like. So what about you, brother?
Hey, not a whole lot going crazy in my neck of the woods. I actually legitimately considered, getting a wild hair at my ass and taking a flight up to Minneapolis to go see some training camp over the weekend or something like that. Just because, I missed going to training camp. The last time I went was in when Vikings training camp was in Mankato, Minnesota, where I went to college, and I had, townhouse there where the back patio was overlooking the training fields, like the practice field. So it was fucking awesome. And getting to go to TCO Performance. I've never been there for the Vikings training camp. I would love to go do that. And it's not super cost prohibitive. But alas, I decided to buy a sectional couch instead and a new 75-inch TV. So I put the money towards home and family instead. So are you going to try to make your way to any sort of training camp this year for the Browns? I would assume just it would be way more accessible because you're right there.
Yeah, so I want to. Tickets are pretty hard to actually get your hands on. I think they're basically always all sold out very, very quick.
That's it. Like, I know the Vikings stuff, it is like you just pay for entry, but it's not like a ticketed thing.
No, so there are ticketed. It is a ticketed event. At least it has been the times that I have gone. And it was actually a colossal pain in the ass because the cell phone signal in that area is absolutely atrocious. So trying to get your tickets up while the cell phone signal doesn't work was a pain. I had to use G's phone to get it up. So last time we went, it was a ticketed event. So
what were you getting up?
What's that?
What were you getting up on G's phone?
The tickets.
Okay, just make sure.
The child.
You can't watch someone G's phone and then be like, it was him. That's his history, not mine.
Well, at this age, it's very believable.
No fault to him. I get it.
No. But shout out producer Amber. So that organization is called Boundless Freedom Veterans Adventure Weekend. It's for Adaptive Sports Connection is the sponsor. So it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited to check it out. I think we're going to go take some pictures as well and have a great time with that.
That's pretty damn awesome. But look, hey, thank you for everyone who's going to be tuning in tonight. We know that Hall of Fame game is on. It is awesome to get back to watching football. We're not going to try to take up your entire night because, we want to watch some football too. Get into that spirit. So I'm not going to take up too much more of our time here, but we do have to either pay the bills or ruin the LLC with our ad read of the week. So today's episode of Raw Dawg Sports is actually going to be brought to you by Pfizer because fuck Aaron Rodgers. Come and get literal poison pumped into your veins because you're a government puppy. Have some weird feelings in your heart after getting the jab? Don't worry. It's not myocarditis. Those are just happy love tingles emanating from your love for giant corporations who view their clientele as fat cash cows. And if it is myocarditis, we are not responsible here at Pfizer. You are. At Pfizer, we're totally about personal accountability, especially when that person is the customer and not us. Why try to get healthy when you can just get some Pfizer? Speaking of health, did you fail in achieving your weight loss goals this summer? Did you see an American Eagle ad with Sophie Sweeney and you think to yourself, I've already got the giant sloppy fat tits, but my hips aren't going to fit into my size 6 jeans anytime soon? Well, you've got two options. And pairing a healthy diet along with exercise is not one of those options. You can either claim that it's Nazi propaganda, or you can go and get on some GLP-1 brought to you by Pfizer. Before you know it, you'll be dropping pounds and sporting some ass breath. Don't mind the irreparable damage you're probably causing to your liver and other organs because we sure don't here at Pfizer. Trust us, it's in the fine print. Pfizer is America's drug dealer. Gotta love Pfizer. And note, Pfizer is not an official sponsor of Raw Dawg Sports and in no way condones this message. Always consult your healthcare professional and never question their financial backers. For erections lasting longer than 6 hours, good for you, bud. God bless America. God bless Pfizer.
Well, that one hopefully will get a little bit of traction.
That might be the one that actually gets us.
Yeah, Pfizer. Yeah, fuck the God. Speaking of things that are completely corrupt, how about our government? Anyways, let's talk about football because that's what we're here for, man. We had some massive breaking news kind of before the show. I'm sorry. And a guy that I love, I'm very high on, Terry McLaurin, has officially requested a trade. I have Terry as a true number one wide receiver. I think he's really special. I think the connection that he has with Jaden Daniels was spectacular last year. I think they have got to find a way to make this thing work and pay him. Now, the other guys that have requested trades in the past, that has not happened. If they are going to actually move him, Andrew Berry needs to pick up the phone because that's what Andrew Berry does. He trades for wide receivers and gets way more value out of them than what that he's supposed to. So I don't know why it's come to this. If you're the Commanders, I don't know why you don't think Terry's worth the money. But at this point, I'm kind of sitting here waiting with bated breath. Maybe they will make a move. My Browns already have 2 first-round picks. We could give up some picks. We could give up some assets and go and add a Terry McLaurin right now and give one of these rookies a legitimate shot to show if he can play with some legitimate fucking weapons.
Yeah, like the only reason why I can think that the Commanders wouldn't want to shell out a huge deal to him, because right now you are operating with a quarterback on a rookie deal. That is the time to strike when the iron's hot. You want to help their development. I mean, this is stuff that we've said on previous shows, obviously, but like it's a big deal to have a true blue number one style receiver there to assist in their development. And you don't have like a huge depth chart behind him that you feel extremely confident in if he's not there for you. But Terry McLaurin is 29 right now, so that is getting more towards the back end of his career. And this is, again, I don't think these are great arguments, but these are, me playing devil's advocate with the arguments here. He's 29, about to be 30. He's got a lot of usage on him. He's had one season in his career where he didn't surpass 1,000 yards receiving. That was his rookie year, and he still got 919 yards, which is pretty damn good. He's very versatile, used all over the field in different scenarios. So if you assume that he is going to have some sort of a fall off, then you wouldn't want to put a huge amount of money into the player. That being said, when you're seeing the likes of like DK Metcalf get traded for a second and a sixth round pick, and then getting $150 million deal, I think DK Metcalf is good. I think Terry McLaurin brings more versatility, and I like that sort of a gadget better for a lot of teams. So not only could he warrant more in the trade market, but I think the contract should be equitable to what DK Metcalf got. I think the most recent report that I saw was that the Commanders were not willing to budge past $30 million a year, which is fucking a lot of money. So if that report is true, is Terry McLaurin asking for too much, or is it the guarantees that's involved? And I would have to assume that if he's shooting for around that 30 million a year mark, that he should be comfortable with that. It's got to be the guarantees that he's looking for. And that could be scary for the Commanders if they do, in fact, think that he could possibly fall off that age cliff and see a decline in his play. That being said, I don't think we have seen any sort of decline in his play unless they know something in the background that is reason to withhold.
I mean, you don't have really injury concerns necessarily with Terry. You don't have any of that stuff. Unless you're just literally worried about, okay, he's starting to get older for a number one. But in terms of red flags for receivers, this is one of those guys that doesn't really show up with many of them.
Yeah, it seems like such an easy move to say you need to re-sign him. The fact that they haven't ponied up when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, like I said, that's when you sign all these big contracts. You made it deep in the playoffs last year. You legitimately are in a playoff window. Do not break up the squad. Like, yes, you have to plan for your future, but also that future that you really, really have to start planning for is 4 years down the line.
Yeah, you can still pay Terry and not have to worry about that interfering at all with Jaden Daniels' contract.
Yeah, if we're talking $30 million a year, a 3-year deal, and give him 70% of that guaranteed, like, you don't feel terrible about it. Like, yes, there's always the possibility of injury, of him falling off that cliff, but also the cliff for wide receiver is nowhere near as precipitous as a running back. So you're still going to get good usage out of it. I mean, again, 1 year out of his career that he didn't surpass 1,000 yards, that was the rookie year. That makes sense. The only other like black mark on his statistical career is that the only year that he had double-digit touchdowns was last year. But that should show you something. You've got the quarterback in-house. You are building a good squad. The potential for him to continue putting up double-digit touchdown seasons is there, right? Because of who you have already on that roster. It's not Scary Terry playing with Sam Howell, who's throwing the ball all over the fucking place and a lot of interceptions and sacks. But like you have a legitimate quarterback there. Make use of it right now. Get that guy in-house. Like it makes all the sense in the world to work this out. The fact though that he is now requesting a trade
and trade him to Cleveland.
Yeah, but dude, I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm sorry to tell you.
And Terry likes to trade for receivers. They don't know how to develop them here, so we just trade for them.
With what money? A cap is a myth, but fuck, man.
Listen, we're gonna recoup a bunch of money because of fucking Deshaun Watson.
Maybe. Maybe. You know who else was recouping some money though this week? Maybe Christian Wilkins. So we talked about him last episode, breaking
Yeah.
news during the show about him being released and NFLPA on his behalf filing, with the NFL saying a grievance with the NFL saying, he should receive a bunch of this guaranteed money. And it was very interesting at the time where they're talking about, hey, he didn't rehab this foot correctly. This is why we're releasing him. But that was a huge contract that they let go. And yeah, the guy only played 5 games for you. But it turns out as the week kind of went along, more rumors started to trickle out. Maybe there's something else behind why they did this. And it was a convenient excuse with this foot and the rehabbing. And it seems like the dam is kind of broken on what happened there in the locker room with the Raiders.
Yeah. So this is a delicate thing because if
delicate like Wilkins, a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah. So if Christian Wilkins is of a persuasion, I don't want to take shots at him because there's absolutely nothing wrong with being gay. Not everybody in an NFL locker room is going to like that. Kissing somebody without their permission is not appropriate. It's like
there's such thing as sexual harassment in the workplace,
right?
Now a locker room is definitely different. There's a lot of fucking salacious shit that happens in the locker room.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
We both know that.
100%. There's a ton of crazy things that happen in a locker room. None of it is nobody's making any kind of comments, gestures. But when somebody sunshines somebody and puts their lips on another person,
or a little toe tickling,
there's some different things that start to be like, man, all right, like, cool, do you, but not over here. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
And look, God bless fucking Twitter and social media in general for pulling up all the old tapes of him in college popping assholes.
Yeah, it's not a great look.
It's like, damn, like, how did we not see it? It was right in front of us. That boy loved it. And look, he might not be of that persuasion. It just might be something that he's like, I'm gonna fuck with you mentally.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, that's it. He talks, man, talks crazy, like, and he's good at it too. But I don't know. It shouldn't matter, right? If he can play, he can play. I think that the locker room behavior is a little tough because not everybody's going to take that okay.
Yeah. Look, like at the end of the day, this is 2025. We are taking steps forward and backwards in some ways. But in one of those areas that I think most people can agree on, sexual harassment in the workplace is generally not okay. As a progressive society, we should probably move against that. And while maybe he considered it to be joking or something, who knows? It doesn't matter what he thinks. It's what the person that is receiving it thinks.
Yeah.
And if that toe tickling and gentle forehead kisses is unwarranted and unwanted, he's in the wrong. And it sounds like this possibly wasn't the only time that this has happened. This might have been a pervasive thing throughout his career, especially, again, if you look back at some of those game tapes where he's doing some things in the pile. And the video of him fucking doing the splits when he was with Clemson, fucking hilarious. I love it. Yeah, that boy's zesty. And it's all right. But
it's all right.
Now
everyone knows.
Find a way to get some
I think. But here's the thing, and that's why it's sensitive, right? Because he hasn't come out and said any of that. And this is a lot of people talking about his sexual orientation kind of without his approval. And that's where this can kind of get, if you want to have that little bit of political correctness, maybe we shouldn't be talking about possibility of him being gay when he hasn't come out. But also at the same time, it's fucking hilarious. The things
let me
that
virtue
you
signal
see
here for a second. Let me virtue signal because honestly, I hadn't put 2 and 2 together like that until you said it. Like, I hadn't seen that kind of float around the internet about his sexual orientation. I just assumed that he was just fucking screwing with people and like dick punches and stuff like that. That definitely happens in the pile. I know, like, guys have been choked and shit like that.
Dude,
like,
I have had my balls grabbed by another man at the bottom of a pile.
Yeah, like, people try to fuck with people at the bottom of a pile. And maybe he didn't understand that he really wasn't at the bottom of a pile sometimes when he was finger popping assholes. So the other locker room shit, like I said, locker rooms are generally considered a sacred place where, like, what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. But at some point in time, there's probably a line to be drawn. And look, there is a brand new regime in Vegas. Maybe this Christian Wilkins isn't a Pete Carroll guy, and they were looking for excuses to move on from him. And the culmination of inappropriate touching, along with the rehab issue with the foot, was enough for them to say, hey, maybe we can get out of this contract, recoup some of the money. I'm just kind of glad now because, look, I was a strong proponent of my Vikings going after Christian Wilkins last offseason. We needed that interior defensive line help. They made a contract offer to him, but we're outbid by the Raiders. And I assumed, like, hey, he played with Flores back in the Miami days, that he's going to know how to use him correctly. Wilkins' best days were there when Flores was the head coach. Like, it's a perfect match. Dodged a fucking bullet, it sounds like. I'm kind of glad about that.
Yeah. I got to tell you, this is the greatest comment that we've ever had on the show. Coming in from Butthole, would you like having your balls grabbed by another man?
Oof. No. I
got to tell you, that's great job, Butthole. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. And no, not particularly. I mean, maybe if he caressed and I didn't have to know it was him, I would enjoy it.
Look, I love my wife, but sometimes when she's getting frisky, she can be aggressive with them bad boys, and that's a little bit too much. All right. And so, I'm not of that persuasion, but no, I would not like a guy grabbing my balls. I need to be in the sanctity of a very quiet room or something like that, where I feel comfortable with the huevos being coddled, and they have to be coddled appropriately. The football field is not a spot for my balls to be touched, at least for me.
Listen, the moment I had to spread my ass cheeks for another man to get into the Army, I was done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still don't like it.
Yeah, not enjoyable. I mean, not great. But another solid question by Butthole.
Absolutely. Love it.
Thank you, Butthole, for tuning in, by the way. And for everybody tuning in right now, thank you all. Thank you all very, very much. If you guys would not mind, no matter where you're watching, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, if you would not mind, please stop over on our YouTube, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a great deal to us. But with that little piece out of the way, great questions from Butthole. Keep them coming. Evo, let's move on, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we had a whole bunch of different stuff happen this week. Obviously, training camps are going on. Some players are getting injured. Some players are getting signed to teams that are new to them. We also have some players getting re-signed. We'll kind of highlight a couple of those right now. We got Rashawn Slater with the Chargers. Chargers playing tonight here very shortly. He inks the largest deal, I believe, for an offensive lineman, which is insane because I saw the numbers today of what he's getting taxed there in California. He's bringing home like $12 million of it a year. So that kind of fucking sucks. But good on him for getting a big contract. He is one of the better tackles in the league. And as we've talked about plenty of times, if you're the last one to sign, it's probably going to be the biggest contract. Unless you're a guy like Colton Miller, also got a nice big contract extension, but nowhere near what Rashawn Slater got. So good on those guys for getting new contracts done. We also had Cortland Sutton of the Denver Broncos receiving a long contract extension there, which was I think was generally expected. Moving on from Judy last year, they were going to put all their eggs in that Cortland Sutton basket.
Yeah, listen, I like Cortland Sutton. He had a pretty good connection last year. They're going to continue to build that offense, get more weapons for Bo Nix.
Wait, you mean young quarterback has a good receiver and you pay that good receiver money to continue developing that quarterback? Damn, Washington, pay attention.
Holy shit. Done. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Got another butthole question here for you. Okay. This is a little bit more up your alley.
So based on our rankings, I did not have the Browns with the top 10 pick. Bengals, I believe, did have a top 10 pick, I'd have to go back. I think they're right around in that 7 to 10 mark.
Yeah, and I didn't actually order them like 32 to 1 when we did our predictions. I know for me that it's going to be a lot closer for the Browns to be picking there in that top 10. And then the Bengals, I have them kind of eking their way into the playoffs just based off of that offensive play. Obviously, some things have changed, and this is actually kind of a good transition for us here. Things have changed for the Bengals here over the past week. Shemar Stewart signed his deal. He's there at camp. Not doing anything special so far from what I've seen. But you also have Trey Hendrickson in a good faith move coming to camp, good faith move to try to move the deal forward, but also preventing him from being fined $50,000 a day, which is definitely a good incentive. But in hopes that he can get a new deal done there with the Bengals. So Trey Hendrickson is in camp. We'll see if that does amount to a new contract for him or not. Obviously, the Bengals are going to have to pony up a lot of money in order to get that deal done.
Yeah, the trade thing is great for the organization and for Trey. I don't know if he's ever still going to get the money that he wants, but he can at least play this year. I just cannot foresee him completely sitting out. He's already slightly disrespected. If you're going to go into the rankings, he's led this league in sacks, the last 2 years, but he's not even rated as a top 5 rusher in the league by all the scouts, GMs, and all that. So how much more money is going to be there if he sits out a year? Anytime you start messing with that, it's going to be – he's just not at that level where I think he can hold a ton of weight. He's going to get a lot of money, and him being there, because I think because Shemar Stewart showed up, they can kind of start to work together and maybe have a conversation. But I don't have a ton of faith in their defense whatsoever. Another comment from Butthole.
Yeah. And
absolute
look,
trash.
That's been the biggest thing for me is that, obviously the offense looks stacked. When you have Joe Burrow, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you have a couple of the, better receivers in the league. You go out there and add a Noah Fant, who was released last week, and it looks like they're signing him today. So another receiving option. They're just loading up that receiving core. The offense is absolutely going to be viable for that Cincinnati team. But the defense, let's say best case scenario, they do end up signing Trey Hendrickson. And you have Shemar Stewart there, a first-round pick, but he was still considered a developmental type of guy. You're essentially running back that same defense as far as personnel. Lou Anaromo is gone now, but it is still running back one of the worst, if not the worst, defense in the NFL. And you consistently saw the Bengals putting up 30-plus points, like great offensive performances, and still losing because they did not have a complementary style of ball on the other side of the field. Air Force over Army. Air Force is the Army's little brother. He did come from us. So
hey, appreciate you, Butthole. I'm not sure who you are, but I appreciate you very much, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. But yeah, that defense, it's really rough. It'll be interesting. I get to see them very early on with my Vikings. Week 3, we have them at home. And I legitimately am concerned about that offense because the offense is going to be so viable. It could be, the number 1 offense in the NFL when it's all said and done because of the talent that they have there. It's just whether or not that defense can do anything to slow down an opposing offense. And I don't have faith in that. I do think that you are going to see wins out of the Bengals this year, and that's why I had them going positive in the win totals, sneaking into the playoffs. But it's not a Super Bowl winning brand of football that's played if you don't have that complementary ball on the other side.
Yeah, feel that, man. Absolutely feel that. One last one from Butthole Pierce. Air Force is just for smart people. That's very true. I think you ask any guy in the Army as well, like I should have joined the fucking Air Force.
We got one of our NCOs right now trying to transfer to the Air Force, head up to Davis-Monthan. Probably going to happen. Best of luck there. I definitely get it. Chow halls are better for sure. There's no argument there either.
Sleeping accommodations. Everything is fucking better, dude. Everything about an Air Force base is better than an Army base.
Yep. In other news, we saw some contract shifting happen with Baker Mayfield down with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. He's going to be moving into his final year of his contract next year. But the Bucs did him a solid, moved a whole bunch of guaranteed money onto his contract for this year. Kuwait sucks, butthole. It's just hot as fuck. It's terrible. But they move a whole bunch of that guaranteed $30 million guaranteed money into his contract. So they're doing him a solid there. Another good faith gesture in order to help ease contract negotiations going forward. Absolutely something that you want to see. And look, Bucks are making the right move there because obviously Baker has really come into his own. We talked about this last week as well.
Risen up to that top 10 status as a quarterback.
Yeah. So nice to see that there. One guy who is not happy with his current contract situation because he no longer has one, Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks sustains a collarbone injury, a broken collarbone, and the team ends up cutting him afterwards. Traylon Burks, obviously was the wide receiver taken by the Tennessee Titans after they did that A.J. Brown trade. Mike and I were not huge fans of his style of play and didn't think that he was necessarily worth the pick where he was taken, especially when it's looking at replacing A.J. Brown, who, hindsight being 2020, terrible there, but also A.J. Brown was fucking phenomenal when he was with the Titans. And so Traylon Burks has not lived up to his pick, did not look good pretty much his entire career there in Tennessee. I'll play devil's advocate with it. They've had the Malik Willis's out there and a little bit of Tannehill at the end, and obviously Will Levis, who's down for the year. You're not getting guys throwing you the ball who are phenomenal. However, he just did not look good to begin with. So it's not a big loss for the Titans to release him. It was just a big loss.
Well, it was a huge whiff. I mean, when you look at the draft position, you wanted that big body guy, kind of like your Debo Samuel, because that A.J. Brown is a dude that can go up, win 50-50 balls, even though he's smaller in height, but is also great after the catch because he is a big body. He is tough to fucking tackle. Now, he's not your Debo size, but he's also much more agile than Debo is, especially right now. So the loss of A.J. Brown just kind of did in that Titans organization and that coaching staff and everybody that was there.
I mean, it was part of the whole souring with the Vrabel relationship. I'm pretty sure he was not a proponent of moving him. If they
I don't know why you would be.
Yeah.
I mean, your most explosive playmaker, because Derrick Henry's there, right? But Derrick Henry there is not necessarily always explosive. Everybody knows Derrick Henry's getting the ball 30, 35 times a game, whereas A.J. Brown is getting it less. He's making more explosive plays. Now, it's not as explosive. It's not that he's not. He plays in an offense that's not nearly as explosive at times. So,
yep. And look, hey, butthole, you want to keep talking to us. You want to keep spitting shit. Go for it, buddy. We'll talk here. Look, what happens to Trevor Lawrence if he bombs again this year? Is it bust territory? I think you absolutely have to look at it as being a potential bust. I want to look at this kind of akin to
what's the difference between the fucking Sam Darnold last year going in and then what we're thinking about Trevor Lawrence right now? That's basically the exact same fucking resume.
It's pretty close. I still think that we've seen more from Trevor Lawrence with the Jaguars there. It's just, he's had injuries and really, really terrible teams around him. I still have more faith in him being able to develop into something than I did at Sam Darnold at the same point in their careers. That being said, you
think
could
it happens
definitely
in
see
Jacksonville?
Something. What's that?
Do you think it happens in Jacksonville? Do you think he develops and do they hire the right coach down in Jacksonville?
No. I'm not a huge fan. I really need to see what they can do this year. And obviously they provided him some more offensive weapons there, getting Travis Hunter, but I don't have a lot of faith in that Jags team right now. And this could be another middling or down year while they transition to a new scheme and trying to build that roster out. But he obviously is under a pretty large contract there with Jacksonville, and they're probably going to ride with him going forward. But I could see it being, not that Jake Plummer was necessarily terrible with the Cardinals, but almost like a Jake Plummer situation where he really moves on after being there for years with the Cardinals, goes to the Broncos and starts putting up, Pro Bowl style numbers. That's the type of kind of career path I think you could see with Trevor Lawrence. Unfortunately, his youth, the youngest years, with his best years of development and everything, are probably being wasted, in my opinion, there with Jacksonville right now. And it's unfortunate because, physically talented, obviously meets all the, height, speed requirements that you're looking for a guy who is a mobile quarterback. Like it's a prototypical modern day
And he's a
NFL
winner too.
quarterback.
That's all he ever fucking did was win. Like he has everything that you want, but it hasn't happened. It hasn't developed. I don't know what it is, but I think you have to start thinking that, yeah, he's in that bust region because he was the number one pick since he was a fucking freshman in college.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be Andrew Luck reincarnate. The best goddamn prospect anybody has seen since Andrew Luck. And it has fallen well short of expectations. I don't know if that's him. I don't know if that's Jacksonville, because that organization is terribly run as well. The same as the Titans, the same as probably my Browns. There's a lot of organizations that are not well run, and that's definitely one of them, with Khan as the fucking owner. So it could not be his fault. He could go find success somewhere else. But right now, yeah, you're talking about bust territory for sure.
Yeah. And it's tough because I think that he, like Sam Darnold, many would still consider him to be a bust. When your success in the middle of your career doesn't necessarily remove that bust label.
He's going to have to play at a decent level for multiple years, because then you become part of that like Geno Smith conversation, exactly. Alex Smith conversation. Like where
exactly what I was going to bring up is Geno Smith. He's the perfect comp there because it, obviously was no good with the Jets, and then it took him again 8, 9, 10 years into his career before he started doing something, and we still needed to see 2 to 3 years of him actually performing at a higher level to say, okay, he's no longer a bust.
Listen, I'm back down on Geno this year.
Yeah.
So getting rid of that moniker is always tough once it sticks, and he's definitely in that range. But
we talked previously about the Miami Dolphins and how they're going to be rolling out with a pretty thin defensive backfield. Losing cornerbacks to injury and already not having a whole lot there. That it was storm duck season out there. And the hits keep coming to that defensive backfield. They did bring in Jack Jones and some other kind of middling cornerbacks. However, Kader Kohou goes down for the year with an ACL injury.
809 NFL season has started. Congratulations, everybody. We fucking made it. We made it.
Very nice.
We made it. Kickoff has just happened.
Awesome. But yeah, so that secondary reeling even more out there.
They're going to be bad. They're going to be bad anyways. At least we're both in the mindset that they're not going to be very good.
Right. I mean, I have them as my worst team in the NFL this year. If you watch any of our previous episodes where we did our breakdowns of the divisions and predictions, I did have them being the worst team in the NFL this year. So, and I think this kind of leans into that a lot more. It's going to be really rough for them. And it's interesting because there are veteran cornerbacks out there that are available that you would think could provide an uplift. Stephon Gilmore did not retire. He still looked okay with the Vikings last year. He's still an option. He's out there. You've got Asante Samuels Jr. still out there.
That's a guy. That's a name that I'm very interested in still considering to bring into Cleveland with the injuries that have happened.
The biggest question mark with Asante is his injury history right now. It's taken him off the field a whole lot. And it's something that he's still been working through this offseason. But when he's on the field, like, he is absolutely an above average player. So like it's worth looking at possibly bringing him in for the right money.
I agree, man. I agree. Man. A lot of cornerbacks.
Already a fumble in the game, by the way.
Yeah, I just saw it. It's the Hall of Fame game. It's sloppy football. Most of these guys are not making the squad. Because these are, I think, at worst, these are your second teamers.
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, on the screen.
But this is third, fourth team, because this is that extra preseason game. They don't even need this thing.
They saw guys out there like Shane Zylstra, former Viking practice squad guy who's unfortunately lost the season last year, but he was kind of like a backup tight end for Detroit. I think that he's someone that could still make their squad. You got Isaac Tesla, who's draft pick by the Lions this year. So there's definitely guys who are going to be more bottom of the roster guys out there right now. Again, this is you have 3 preseason games in the modern NFL, unless you're a part of the Hall of Fame game. That's when you get your fourth game, and you really don't want to be rolling anyone out there any more than you have to. So it is guys that are definitely more your bottom of the roster, bottom of the barrel guys to ward off, injuries becoming a serious problem if they go down.
Yeah, guys can watch, they can get to see tape, they can see schemes run. Now, most of this shit's all very vanilla anyways, because it's preseason. You're not seeing anything exotic, nothing disguised, really. It's all base for the most part. But I love the Hall of Fame game just because it's here in Ohio. I always thought it was super cool that it was played at a high school stadium, Canton McKinley. When we went down for the Hall of Fame, to go check out the Hall of Fame, I did not realize how incredible that stadium is for a high school team. It rivals some of the great Texas schools in their stadiums. It was insane. Have you been to the Hall of Fame?
I have not. I've not made it out to Canton. It's absolutely on the bucket list of things to do. I got to see bits and pieces of stuff that could be there when I went to the Super Bowl experience up in Phoenix. But and that was very, very cool to see in and of itself. So I would have to imagine that the Hall of Fame would be quite the experience.
It's awesome. I love basically every second of it is like a kid in a candy store. I feel like you would very much feel similar. Congratulations to all the guys who are going into the Hall of Fame now that the Hall of Fame game has started. Oh, I forgot to bring it up. We didn't do this before. Brent Musburger told us before the game Lions were favored by a point, so Lions -1. If you were going to bet at this point where you're going to go, I'm going to go Chargers. I would, go Chargers money line because they're getting the point. I think the Chargers' depth is going to matter more because they've been around the same coaching staff for longer. Whereas the Lions, back half dudes, I understand they haven't been around, but this is a whole new scheme for everybody. So these guys at the bottom half can't ask the guys who've been there forever to explain shit to them. So I feel like that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I would be leaning towards the Chargers as well. We're still seeing actually a decent amount of good players out there for the Chargers right now. Now, Trey Lance, obviously, we have thoughts on him, but he is a guy who, had high potential, some physical capabilities, and I've seen him make a couple good throws already. But out there on the field, I saw Trey Pipkins, who's been a starting offensive lineman for that Chargers team. Omarion Hampton has been running the ball already in this game. So they don't have, nothing but backups out there. They have some actual starters or guys who are, close to being starters as far as the depth chart is concerned. So for what it is right now, I think, this squad probably won't be out there super long. But I still kind of like what the Chargers bring there. I'm not completely convinced in the Lions' depth, especially on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. All right. I don't remember where I was going, but yeah.
Oh, man.
We got some training camps to talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's obviously little bits and pieces of news around the NFL right now as training camps continue to develop. But that's probably where the rest of our focus here is going to be today is on our individual training camps for your Cleveland Browns and my Minnesota Vikings. That's some of the thoughts that we have just to get it off our chest before we get into our preseason games next week.
Yeah, man. I'm so excited for football. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start talking about the Browns because there's a lot of things that are in the news with the Browns and that will continue to be in the news with the Browns. Some things that are not in the news with the Browns that, I think are good, potentially bad. But we'll start with our corners, man. So we kind of talked about it a little earlier. Martin Emerson goes down with the Achilles injury, done for the year already. That sucks. Like Martin Emerson had a down year last year. I was hoping to see kind of uptick this year, get back to that guy he was 2 years ago, because when that dude shows up, he's incredible. He takes away your big body wide receivers. Like he is a guy that goes out and as a stopper is great at covering tight ends, just because that's his physical makeup. So losing him sucks. That moves Greg Newsome, though, back to the outside where he's more accustomed to being, where he wants to be, and is going to give opportunities for guys like Cam Mitchell to get more reps. Cam Mitchell, a guy that's kind of played very sparingly, doesn't have a pick recorded. So there's a lot of young guys at the back half of the secondary. We didn't go out. We didn't draft a safety. So I have some concerns with the secondary and the youth and all of that with the injuries. That's why I'm advocating for maybe you go out. And I know Asante Samuel has injuries, but go out and get a guy like that. I mean, I don't know if Stephon Gilmore is going to sign here. It feels like he's at the part of his career where he's chasing rings, and Cleveland's not on his list of places to go. So I don't even think you entertain that conversation. But younger guys who are looking for another shot are people that we should be looking at. Now, I like Ronnie Hickman in the secondary. I'm excited to see him get more snaps. I was high on him, obviously, a little bit as a homer Ohio State guy when he came out. Then, he gets pick 6, and I'm like, okay, this dude's going to play. He's going to be legit. And didn't really crack that starter's role with Juan Thornhill in front of him. And if he couldn't beat out Juan Thornhill, that is not encouraging because Juan Thornhill gave absolutely no fucking effort at all while he was here. So the secondary is tough right now. But a thing that I did like to see is that our line might be a little healthier. Now, they're not necessarily great by any means at this point, but we're healthy. DeJuan Jones did have to leave practice the other day, I think, due to a heat issue. But he's coming back from an injury, and he was a guy that came in overweight last year. And I get it. I am also a fat guy. But DeJuan Jones would tell you, as an athlete, professional athlete, last year when he came into camp, he was overweight. There's a reason that he looks the way he looks this camp and not the way he looks last camp. It's because he knew that he was not in a playing condition where he should be. So him becoming healthy and losing some weight and hopefully being able to move, you could maybe lock him down at the left tackle spot. Conklin over at the right tackle spot. You got some youth on the inside that could be making steps forward, and Zinter, I don't know if we're going to see a trade piece go somewhere with one of these other guards. What's going to happen at the center spot, I still am very curious about. But having some health, at least through camp, makes me much more encouraged than where we were last year, because our line was completely just disheveled all through camp. So we had no idea how good or bad we were possibly going to be on offense. And then the line was terrible. Deshaun was terrible. Everything about the offense ended up being terrible. There was no health. This year we have a little bit of that. So that makes me very excited. Somebody that doesn't have as much health as they would hope for, Kenny Pickett, has been out, I believe, hamstring injury. Him missing time sucks for Kenny. It actually helps push the narrative, that helps push the thing that I want, though. I want Joe and the 2 rookies. Kenny coming in and coming later, not having as much reps, not having as much time, makes him more trade fodder in my mind. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is that we can trade him off, a couple weeks from now, or just getting ready to go into the regular season. We'll keep the rookies. Joe will go for a couple weeks. But, our owner, Jimmy Haslam, has come out and said it. He expects to see these rookies play because we have to figure out what we have, because we have 2 first-round picks next year. Like, we got to figure out what these guys are. And the rookies have looked really good at several points in camp. Now, Shedeur has not got a ton of first-team reps. He hasn't gotten any reps with the first-team offense, but has finally gotten to take reps against the first-team defense. That is kind of news around the Cleveland area, because he's been shut out of that. I think that they are bringing Shedeur along with kid gloves. I think from all reports that I have seen from, people that we know on X, the Jacob Roaches, the local people, all the way up to big time media, your large media, have all basically said that Shedeur has shown that he is a guy who goes out, works, and is really good. He hasn't had too many days where it's like, oh, this dude can't hack it. This was a tough day. So even not knowing everything, he is performing at a high level, and that makes me very excited. But there's also guys that I didn't hate the pick. I hate where they were picked, like in Carson Schwesinger, who I thought was picked too high. But this kid has been fucking lights out in camp by all reports that I have seen. Looks like an absolute thumper all over the field. I mean, we lose Hicks to retirement. Joke is not coming back because of the neck. So this kid, if he can come out and, be a every down linebacker right away, is huge. Shout out to our guy Jo over at OTC. Was huge on Carson in the pre-draft process. I was okay on him. I thought he was taken too high, but right now it looks like probably one of our best picks because he's going to see the field a shitload.
And that's the thing is that where the guys picked doesn't really matter anymore. It's how they perform going forward.
Exactly.
And I liked the upside at Schwesinger. I thought that he was definitely a second round pick. It was high in the second round for him to go, but at the end of the day, he kind of filled a position of need. I would have to assume that the team thought that Hicks was unless Hicks was completely keeping it close to his chest, that he had been contemplating retirement, and obviously they knew the status of Joke at that point. So going after a guy position in need to try to solidify that defense makes some sense. So look, I'm happy to hear that he's performing well in camp because he was a guy that I liked too as a high potential guy.
I have to mention one more name out of camp, local guy, and I'm going to mispronounce his name. Luke Floria, the wide receiver, little slot kid. You're prototypical white, just working out the slot. Works hard. Has done a really, really nice job at camp. Would be fun to see this kid make the roster, and I think could be productive, especially if you get him kind of moving. I hope we see a lot more motion in this Kevin Stefanski offense now. We're kind of going back to it. We can't be stagnant. Motion is so important in today's NFL. So I hope that this kid sticks. I think it would be fun. Like, he reminds me of white Jarvis Landry.
Okay.
That would be dope to get that back because that guy moves the sticks. And that was one of our biggest problems, was getting fucking first downs.
Yeah, look, I'm also glad to hear from you that it sounds like the line is doing a little bit better. The defense I think that you guys have is obviously very capable of being very good. You've seen that year in year out from that squad. You bolstered it through the draft again this year. But it's, every good defense is going to show some warts when they're out there all the time. And the way that they're not out there is by the offense performing. You have better options at quarterback this year than you did last year, though, the top end of that this season, I'm not so sure where that lies. That being said, it doesn't matter who's behind center. If you don't have a line that can block for him, you're not going to get a running game going. You're not going to get a passing game going. And we definitely saw that last year from the Browns squad. So if they're able to stay healthy, I think that they will absolutely be more competitive than they were last year, which is good news for your guys' squad. And then, obviously, the way Jerry Judy's going, you get Harold Fannin Jr. in there, some more receiving options,
Terry McLaurin, it's going to be great.
Okay. I don't see that happening, but you never know, I suppose. You never know.
They're going to pay him. They got to pay him.
Yeah, absolutely. Update on the Hall of Fame game. We have the Chargers ahead 7-0. Trey Lance led a nice drive down the field, and credit where credit is due. Nice little bootleg to the right and pass to Will Dissly. A nice little touch pass to him in the end zone over a defender. Credit where credit's due. It looked like a very good play there. So maybe he's starting to slowly develop. Who knows?
Maybe. Well, you know what? And here's the thing: he has a coach, and a guy who knows how to kind of baby a quarterback along, to keep the kid gloves on when it's necessary, and get more out of them. He's had some good quarterback coaches. Like, you would think that Shanahan could have gotten more out of it. But I don't know that Shanahan maybe has the patience for a Trey Lance type of personality.
Well, I don't know how much personality plays into it. I haven't heard anything particularly about Trey Lance being like a boisterous person or someone that's tough to deal with. But at the end of the day, when you have Brock Purdy in house and that guy's performing, you might as well ride with the hot hand and do that. So it makes sense that they can move off from him. And then same thing down in Dallas. You're not going to move off a Dak like that, even if Trey Lance looked, pretty decent. So, we'll see what happens there. So up for my Vikings up in Minnesota and the camp going there. Obviously the hot button topic is JJ McCarthy and how is he performing. And up until like the last 3 days has looked really, really good. The past couple days have been rough though. And it's not necessarily JJ. He has had, some throws that have been off target and whatnot. But it's been more of, and this is a pretty common thing in NFL training camps, defenses look better than the offense when it comes to training camp. And the Vikings defense last year ended up finishing as a top 5 defense, and they only added more pieces to it. And apparently they have been eating the offense's lunch the past couple days. Flores has been throwing the kitchen sink at him without actually opening up his playbook. They've been doing lots of twists, stunts, crazy blitzes and stuff like that, but they haven't been putting out the Flores playbook because, they're saving that for the regular season.
Right.
But apparently the defense has just looked absolutely lights out. The additions of Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen have been boding really well. You also have first-round pick from last year, Dallas Turner, who didn't see a lot of the field last year, partially because, he's a rookie. It takes time for those guys to develop. He's sitting behind Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard. And it's tough to see the field like that. But also Flores' defense is not an easy one to pick up. Apparently, he's coming to camp much bigger and looks the role, and he has been one of the highlights of camp on defense with how he's been performing, which is really exciting. They're getting all 3 of those guys out on the field at once. Grenard
what package is that? Jesus.
So last year they had Lambo packages that they called it, where they would have multiple defensive ends on the field and start to remove some of the defensive linemen. But now they don't necessarily need to do that as much. This is one of those situations where they would probably remove Ivan Pace off the field in pass rush downs. Leave Blake Cashman out at middle linebacker, and then you start having all those defensive ends out there rotating around. You don't know who's coming, who's dropping back. Crazy shit can happen. I'm super excited about that. Bernard apparently has looked like, quote, the best player on the field, with Justin Jefferson not being there because, had a little bit of a tight hamstring. And of course, there's no need for him to keep on running out there doing anything. We'll probably see him mostly deactivated for the rest of camp, I would assume.
Week 1. We'll see him week 1.
Yeah. But that being said, on offense, it makes sense, like I said, for the offense to not be performing as well, because traditionally they just don't perform as well as the defense. Also, we are working with 2 of our 5 starting offensive linemen, essentially. You have Ryan Kelly, 3 of the 5, essentially. Ryan Kelly, Donovan Jackson, and Brian O'Neill. Though O'Neill has gotten some veteran rest days as well, so they've been rotating in some guys like Logan Brown, who's a UDFA from Kansas, the highest remaining on the draft board guy who was a UDFA and coming to the Vikings. Did really well at Kansas, but the only reason that he was at Kansas and probably dropped is because he transferred from Wisconsin, because he punched out a player while he was at Wisconsin on his own team. But he's been performing well. We've seen some Walter Rouse there along the offensive line, some Justin Skull playing left tackle. So it's been a hodgepodge of backup players on that first team offensive line, while Christian Darrisaw rehabs while Will Fries comes back from that broken leg. Both those guys, though, good news for the Vikings is both those guys have been out there participating in individual drills. They're just not wanting to put them in full team yet, because it's not even been a year since Christian Darrisaw tore his ACL and MCL. And he's already out there with just a thin brace on now, looking like he's going to be ready to go for week 1. Same with Will Fries, broken lower part of his leg, but not a severe break, just a fracture. And they're, by all reports, he could be playing right now. He's cleared for full activity. They just want to ease him back in. So, obviously I have some hope there for how things are going to kind of turn out. JJ, though, as far as his performance has been good. There's been a couple of those errant throws, but when it's come down to the situational stuff, the 2-minute drill, red zone stuff at the end of practices, those have been really, really rough. Apparently JJ's not having any time. Like, he is getting to the last step in his drop and already having defenders in his face. That's the sort of pressure that Flores is bringing. So I look at it as a positive net overall, because if that defense is as good as it sounds like they're going to be, like, I'm willing to say right now, I think they're going to be a top 5 defense again. I think they will probably be top 3 and could absolutely be the highest pressure defense in the league, the best defense in the league. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, look, it is I ran the exercise myself today of picking a 53-man roster based on who we have.
Already?
Yeah, and I was able to actually narrow it down pretty easy, pretty quick, especially with some of our performers in camp so far. Uh, Guys, UDFAs again stepping up. That's so far, Questia de Fomenza has had lackluster drafts, though we'll see what happens with obviously Donovan Jackson, JJ McCarthy, and Dallas Turner. Those are the big picks that he's had in recent years, and it looks like they're all starting to bode well for this team. But they've done a fucking awesome job with UDFAs, Ivan Pace, and guys like that they're bringing in. And it sounds like a couple of those guys are probably going to make the squad this year. Right now, I've got it down to like Taki Taimani, who is a defensive tackle and nose tackle type that could be vying for that last spot. Some other defensive backs, but like I think the team is actually looking pretty good as far as who is going to be putting out there week 1 on the 53-man roster. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Madden coming out here very shortly, so I can make these moves myself and get right into the season before it actually starts. Because like I've got a clear idea in my head of how this team's going to shake out. One of the interesting things for us though is with Justin Jefferson out, we're going to see a whole lot of different rotations of wide receivers. Jordan Addison has had a very, very good connection, catching a lot of balls from JJ McCarthy. Those guys look like they are on the same page. But with JJ out right now, Jettas and Jordan Addison looking at potential 3-game suspension coming up, we do need to look at that roster depth there at wide receiver. Rondale Moore, who obviously did very well with the Cardinals, shifty guy. I watched him put a 70-yard touchdown up on us when he was still on his rookie contract with the Cardinals. Ended up going to Atlanta, having a bad knee injury, didn't play at all last year. In camp, apparently he is looking like old Rondale Moore from all reports. So that's pretty awesome. Probably going to be a returner for us. Slot guy who will rotate in as the third or fourth receiver. And then we've also seen some guys who have been practice squad guys for us really showing up, and like Lucky Jackson, great name. He's looked and performed really well through camp, and I do think that he's probably going to earn himself a roster spot because of it. I actually have us bringing, I believe, 6 wide receivers into the season. Now, that's also assuming Jordan Addison probably looking at that potential suspension. So that might shake things up a little bit. He might have back and forth between the practice squad, Lucky Jackson, that is. But I'm kind of excited for what we got going there, especially with that defense. I think that the way you foster a young quarterback and let him grow is have a good run game and don't have them constantly putting up points that he's got to try to throw the ball all over the place. So having a good defense out there. This defense looks lights out to me. It looks like Brian Flores is still coming with all sorts of crazy shit. There's a quote from Ryan Kelly out there, our new starting center, where they line up and he looks back and yells at Kevin O'Connell, "What the fuck are they doing?" Like, this is a veteran center, one of the better centers in the league, and he's confused by what the fuck Flores is putting out there already. So, and he's talked about, he's like, I don't think anyone can replicate what he does in a practice setting. It's like nothing that he's seen in his career so far. So that sort of versatility and mad scientist that Brian Flores is putting out there is pretty fun to watch and fun to hear about.
Hell yeah. Big interception in the Hall of Fame game. Quarterbacks, outs have to be thrown out. You can't throw them in. Outs got to be thrown out.
Yep. It's you got the Chargers there back in the red zone and almost.
Yeah, it's close. Brother, hey, I'm very happy for you guys because your Vikings I'm expecting them to have a good year. I think that you guys will have a chance to compete. JJ, first year any experience. This is essentially his rookie year. I think that's going to be a little bit of a mountain to climb. There's going to be some growing pains along the way. But like you said, that defense, it's going to keep you so in every game that JJ is going to have those opportunities. He's going to have those moments. You guys are going to win games possibly just off the defense alone, even when JJ has those days where he struggles. So I'm excited to see the way that defense takes shape. Those guys grow because Brian Flores, and we've talked about this in the past, and I'm a huge fan of it. He should be a head coach somewhere. The fact that he's not,
coordinator with KOC here on out. Yeah. I don't want to see him leave.
Yeah, I understand why you don't.
absolutely deserving of another shot as being a head coach.
Yeah, deserves it. I'm happy for you guys. I'll be rooting for you guys.
Except for week what?
Except for week 5.
6.
Well, week 5. Yeah, week 5, you guys can fucking eat my dick.
Yeah. And look, that's been another big thing is because
Actually,
Brian
since
Flores,
it's in London, you can eat my bangers and mash.
Yeah. Wanka. But that apparently, the Vikings had an off day of practice today, just classroom stuff. And there's been a lot of talks about, hey, there's probably going to be a conversation between Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores saying like, hey, it is nice that you're not lighting up on JJ in our offense right now, but he does need to do some more realistic looks that he's going to be seeing from other teams, and they might try to lighten some of the stuff up, which is it's a crazy dichotomy for me of like, hey, I do want JJ to see the worst possible scenario so when he gets out there in game time that he can perform. But
but you can't fuck his psyche up.
He needs good reps as well in order to work on the more touch passes and things like that he needed to work on already. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on in the rest of camp here and how they kind of oscillate between full Flores and partial Flores, more of that practice squad type Flores teams that going out there. So but yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens here.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. You guys have a very, very good team. But we got anything else to go over tonight? We got there's football games still going on. A lot of people joined us tonight. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, please stop over at the YouTube page, like, share, and subscribe. It would mean a great deal to us. But I think with that, my man Evo, we got anything else? Are we ready to get the fuck out of here?
No, brother, I think that's good. It's a nice little short show. We'll probably hear a lot more next week as we're going into those first preseason games for all the teams. There's for sure going to be more injuries, a lot of more contract talks going on between McLaurin and Hendrickson and all that. So we'll be able to come to you guys next week and bring you all that information and in our raw authenticity with our thoughts. Even if you call us fat on TikTok,
dude, the people on TikTok are brutal, but I feel like we've been kind of going with it, bouncing off pretty good. Listen, I've been riding high. I've been feeling good. So if you're out on TikTok and you're calling me fat, hey, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. It's to everybody else. Thank you guys as well. We're going to be back next week. I'm not sure what time yet. We will figure that out. We will put that out. But before we get out of here, I got to give my man Evo, give us one last word.
Oh boy. Sydney Sweeney's not a Nazi. She's just a lady with big boobs. Get over it, people.
No, she's not a Nazi. She is a very attractive lady.
Release the Epstein files. There you go.
All right, now we're banned. All right, guys, thank you very much. Raw Dawg Sports will be back next week, probably with an FBI agent watching us. Shout out to the
someone
FBI
from
agent
Pfizer with a gun to our head. Just the Pfizer rep.
Yeah, 6 and 1, half dozen the other. Anyways, guys, thank you. Appreciate you. We'll be back next week. See ya.
Yeah.